everyone. So honored and thrilled to be here this afternoon. So I love this topic of talking the state of CBD retail, and especially because we're really looking at two brands from totally different spectrums of the retail world, but who both have the same overarching mission of bringing quality supplements to the market. So first I'll pass the mic to both of you. So Leigha and Anthony, if you can each introduce yourselves and your role at your different brands and what your ethos is.
So hello, I'm Leigha Gray. I'm the Divisional Merchandise Manager at The Vitamin Shoppe. The Vitamin Shoppe was first established back in 1977, and since then we have completely grown to like over 700 stores. We are a full premier, just specialty global retailer that really services health and wellness for our customers. We really like to service our customers in store, but also online. So one of the things being in growth mode is we're really focused on being digital first. That's a huge mindset for us. And with that, we want to be able to service the customer however they want that, right? If they want to come to our store, if they want to go online, if they want drop ship, if they want curbside, we were able to do that. We cover so many products, from healthy solutions to vitamins to proteins to CBD, which is why we're here today. And we have so many different brands. We have third-party brands and our own proprietary brands, V-Thrive, Vitamin Shoppe, Plant, and then our newly launched brand, which is a women's brand, True You, that we're very excited about. So, we really work with, our health enthusiasts who are our store associates are really the ones who, lead the way, lead the charge in talking to our customers and making it a community and making them feel comfortable coming in, because as we all know, health and wellness is definitely a complex category. CBD alone is very complex. So we're here to really guide people on their individual journeys and helping them become their best selves, however they define that.
I love that.
I'm Anthony Saniger. I'm the founder and CEO of Standard Dose. We are, for anyone that was maybe at this conference in 2019, you saw me in our first year of business up here speaking. We were the first CBD marketplace that was really focused on vetting and curating products within the space. When we launched, it was a very interesting time. Take back a little history lesson. The Farm Bill had just passed. There was an influx of brands kind of coming into the market. And there were really no standards out there. I mean, today we're very fortunate enough that a lot of major retailers now have vetting standards, but when we first launched, there were brands coming to us that were like, what is a COA? What is product liability insurance? Why do I need that? I don't really know where this was sourced from. It was this random hemp that cost a lot of money that was in Colorado. And what I saw really in the beginning was, everyone was saying that they had CBD and made a lot of claims that it worked for this and it works for that and it worked for this. And at the time, there was really no quality. And so the efficacy of the products were really, really poor. And so that was really the foundation of why Standard Dose existed. Personally, I was looking for products for sleep. I'd been told CBD was going to help me with sleep. I started testing them on myself. I tested over 50 different brands at the time, trying the products on myself, making note. How did this work? Did I feel better? Did I sleep longer? Was I groggy the next day? Did I feel nothing? And what I knew at the time was there was all this buzz of the industry is going to be massive, billions and billions of dollars, right? And what I was sitting there from my position going, if we are putting out poor quality products into the market and people are trying these products and they're not getting the benefits that we're claiming, it's going to destroy the industry. And that's, I think, one of the reasons why hemp has been slower than what the original projections were in 2019. And I think it's because there was a lot of subpar products going onto the market. So at Standard Dose, what we did was we launched online in January of 2019, so 1 month after Farm Bill passed. Wild West, we spent a lot of time vetting and curating our products. We go through a really robust vetting process that looks at the quality of the ingredients. We ask for tons of documentations from our brands to ensure there's not heavy metals and pesticides inside the products. We look at, is it all vegan? Is it all natural? We look at the efficacy. We send products out to focus groups to understand do they work. We, during that vetting process, are really looking at making sure that our customer has the experience that's intended. After that, shortly, we launched a retail space, which is on Broadway between 26 and 27. And it's a really beautiful space. Feel free to stop by, anyone. If you tell them you're from LMCC, just a shameless plug, we'll give you guys a discount. But yeah, we have, now today, we launched with about 50 different SKUs. Today we have over 1,300 SKUs. We have CBD and non-CBD products now along many wide ranges of plants, but still with that same ethos. As newer ingredients come onto the market, we see the same challenges. We have about 140 different brands and are continuing to grow online in our physical space here.
I love that. Thanks, Anthony. So, Leigha, I'd love to kick it off with if you can share a bit more about Vitamin Shoppe's Cbd Hq concept and what led Vitamin Shoppe to identify that white space in the market.
Sure. So, Vitamin Shoppe started kind of investigating, looking into CBD back in 2015. So way before, the Farm Bill was passed. So we were always interested, talking with suppliers about it, keeping our ear, to the ground, just kind of keeping a pulse on what's going on in the marketplace. And I would say in 2018, when the Farm Bill was passed, that's when we also did some research on our side and felt very comfortable. Our legal counsel felt comfortable, Science and Regulatory Affairs, based off of research that was done. And in 2019 is when we launched CBD. Now, it was CBD Central, let's be clear. It was CBD Central, it was neon green, and we were so happy. We had about 4 feet of CBD. We had a lot of different brands, from ingestibles to some topicals to, sports drinks and bars. And throughout that time, we started in about 14 states, including Puerto Rico and DC. And throughout that time over the year, by the time we ended the year, we were up to about 500. It was really based off of state regulations. And so we stayed very close to that. In 2020 is when we really made a change, and we said, something, we want to get a little bit more elevated. We're going to sophisticate it. We're going to take it up a notch, right? Because we believe in this category, and this is going to be a leadership category for us. So what we did was we moved the positioning of CBD Central to the front of the store, and we changed the name. It's no longer neon, right? It's a beautiful, green with, green and teal, and you can see the colors, and we're CBD HQ, right? We changed the look of it. We made it more upscale. We added 5x7 signs. We added some navigation for our consumers. We condensed our brands down that we had, right? Because it doesn't make sense to have one brand that has one SKU. It makes more sense to have a brand that has brand depth so you could tell the story behind it. So we narrowed down our brands, really looking at COAs, to your point, looking at what the ingredients were, how is it differentiated from anything else. And we curated a really nice assortment within 8 to 12 feet in most of our stores and called ourselves CBD HQ. And we've been very successful with that so far. It's a category that continuously grows for us. We're very happy with what we're seeing right now. It's a leadership category for us. And we were one of the first national retailers to launch CBD in the way that we did. We still, to this day, carry topicals, carry ingestibles. We have new forms that are in that we'll probably speak about a little bit later, but really growing and keeping that category in front of the consumer is important. And really it starts with the education and when the stores come in and really interacting with our associates.
I love that. Actually, education, I wanted to double click on that point because before, in our pre-panel conversation, we spent time chatting about education and how it's a really important pillar for both of your brands. So I'd love if you can share why education is so important.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of goes back to, again, the story I was talking about earlier is, consumers were coming in and saying, yeah, I can sprinkle a little CBD over here and suddenly I'm going to feel this amazing feeling and I'm going to be completely healed. And we all know that that's not fully accurate. And I think we had to spend a lot of time in the very beginning going into education with each consumer and slowing them down. What is this? Is it going to make you high? No, it's CBD. It comes from the hemp plant, has less than 0.3% THC. If it's a full spectrum, what's full spectrum, what's broad spectrum, and the consumer lacked a lot of education across this very complex area that they were navigating. And I think for us, it was all about people on the ground. That was one of the reasons, in 2019 when I said, we're launching retail 3 months after we go to market online, and we're going to go heavy on retail, and we're going to build a beautiful space that really elevates the conversation around it. People were like, why are you doing that? And I was like, online only, we can't get this education across. It's just not possible. People are not going to read it. So you really have to invest in that in-person physical touch, and that's why I still think that CBD today needs to be on shelves at retailers. Us, along with other retailers, all of it kind of rises the industry as a whole. And what I think is important there is that the educators, we call all of our sales associates educators, they're there to help guide you. You need to take a tincture, put it under your tongue. That's how you're getting it sublingually. If you just swallow it, depending on the format, you may just be wasting it. It may be passing through the gut. So we're really focused on each one of those, and a lot of the brands that we have provide us with education that then we can teach each consumer as they walk in. Here's how you should take this particular product. This is this product. What is milligrams? That can also get very confusing for consumers. You know, this is a 1,000 milligram product, but is that for the full bottle? It's obviously not for one dose, I hope. But you know, I think that's kind of the fundamental aspect, is breaking it down for the consumer, showing them that, you know, a 500 milligram 1 ounce tincture is this amount of milligrams per dose, and a 1,000 is 33 milligrams. But if you take 2 full droppers of this, you're actually going to get 1,000 milligrams, right? And so even as I explain that, people are like, oh, wait, so I can take the half dose? It's like, no, that's milligrams of ibuprofen, right? So that education is what we have to do, and I think for us, we had to really lean in on that in 2019 because it was the Wild West. Today, consumers are getting a little more savvy. We've, you know, moved a lot of our business to online. Still today, I think 99.999% of our business today is online because of the pandemic, but that in-store experience, the loyalty that you get around the customer once they understand your product is fundamental, because they truly know how to dose themselves. And so that was, again, part of our education journey.
For us, education is important. You know, we talk about our pillars at the Vitamin Shop, and one of them is being, you know, expertise. And so part of that is not just from a technology standpoint, but also what our health enthusiasts, these are what we call our store associates, health enthusiasts, what they share with the customer. And so they have to be fully knowledgeable about all the categories that we carry, specifically around CBD, with all of the, you know, different ways it's a balancer for your body, right? So being able to explain that. If you really break down the Vitamin Shop, our core customer, I'm not going to say core, but one of our largest groups of customers is really a 55-year-old woman that's coming in our store. So if you think about that, she's coming in, she's looking at CBD. You know, I always tell the story. My mother, the first time I told her, you need to get some CBD, she was like, wait a minute, what's going to happen to me? What's happening? I'm like, nothing's going to happen to you, lady. Just you need to get this in you, you know, because it's going to help balance you out, right? CBD is a great balancer. And so part of educating the customer is, you know, getting them comfortable with it. I'm really big about having a silent salesperson as well. So what does that mean? When I talked about Cbd Hq, I talked about the signage that we have in the stores and the pamphlets and things like that. A lot of people have to become comfortable. And so some people walk into it and they don't want to walk up, they don't want you to help them. It's like, no, let me kind of look at this. It could be embarrassing or it's complex, right? And so when you have a silent salesperson, someone that can actually read, you know, they're reading it and they're understanding it, that's part of education for us. How we put up things in our stores, how our packaging looks. It's important that when we're working with certain brands, we're calling out certain claims that are correct and make sense. You know, we have a lot of product that have need states added to CBD. CBD plus ashwagandha, CBD plus this, right? And so people are like, oh, I'm going to relax or whatever. Well, yeah, but let's make sure that the claim matches the dosage that's in there, right? And so it's really important for us, you know, that we are, our health enthusiasts are experts, whether it's webinars, you know, expert voice, the signage and the packaging we put in our stores. It's really important that we educate them so that the information that's being conveyed to our consumers are correct and they want to come back, because if they don't trust us, you know, it diminishes us as a brand, but also as a community that sells CBD.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, sorry, did you want to add something, Anthony?
No, I mean, I think that's kind of one of the core differences you were talking about earlier, is like Vitamin Shop and Center Dose, and how can we, you know, we're both retailers, but we are very, very different. Our customer comes to us because they know we have CBD, and they come to us already being slightly informed now at this date, and they usually come to us and they need a deeper conversation. Our average customer spends about 8 to 10 minutes in the store, which if you worked in retail, that's kind of unheard of. And they're really reading the back of that label and they're asking questions, and our educators have to be on their toes and know that information. And so I think and typically our demographic tends to skew more towards mid-20s to mid-30s. That's really the core sweet spot for us. We're in New York, we're a New York brand, this is our home turf. We're not a California brand, we look New York, we feel New York, and we breathe that. And so our audience has already been kind of in it, and now what we're trying to do is make sure that our consumers are taking that deeper step into education. So that's how, I think another big differentiator between our two retail locations.
So we have a lot of brands here, of course, and Leigha, you mentioned packaging, the importance of strong packaging. So I wanted to get to some of the juicy stuff on what you each, because I know curation, of course, is important for both brands as well. What do you each look for? What do your brands look for when you're vetting products and taking on vendors?
So for us, we always tie everything back to our core pillars, and there's 3. We call it key. So it's quality, innovation, and expertise. When we talk about quality, we want the highest quality ingredients, right? We want it to work. We want customers to say, this actually works. I want to come back. So we look at that. Our science and regulatory affairs team is very much involved in any of the product that we bring in. Innovation is another big core pillar for us. So is it new? Is it differentiated? Right? How is this different than anything else we have? How is it filling that white space? Is it happening 2 years from now? A big trend that's happening right now in the marketplace, and it's been happening over the last year and a half, is plant-based and vegan. So let's get there, right? So let's move that way. Is there a new form that we need to be taking? And then we talk about expertise, which we just talked about earlier around education. So when we're looking at new brands, we want to make sure that you define yourself with those 3 core pillars, right? And it's also about making sure you're coming with the right paperwork. We talked a little bit, Anthony talks a little about COAs. That's important. We need to look at that. We need to understand any testing that you have. Dosage is important, right? Especially when you're tying any CBD to a need state claim, right? When you add it to turmeric or you're adding melatonin, are we using the clinically amount of dose that's used to be able to make that claim? So we're looking at all the paperwork, we're getting everything signed off on. And then I would say for us as a retailer, we need to make sure that we're going to market and setting ourselves up for success as well as you. So packaging is important. Are you telling this story? Is it easy to digest or is it too complex? Can the customer read it, right? How are you going to market from a marketing standpoint? How are you driving consumers into our doors? What's your marketing pitch? What are you going to do from that standpoint? What are you going to do to educate the customer as well as our HEs to make sure they're fully equipped to be able to talk to the customers? So those are things that we look at and vet out before we say, yes, let's bring in a new brand.
I think for us, sending another tincture is probably not going to get you there. I think at this point we've tried 100 million tinctures. Tinctures are great format. Should definitely be part of an assortment, but a singular tincture alone probably won't get you in unless it's like mind-blowingly different. And so that differentiation factor is fundamental because you have to think from the merchant standpoint, we see hundreds and if not thousands of products on a monthly basis. The amount of brands, and especially in the CBD space, that have entered the space in the past year has been tremendous. And so that's great, but it also makes it harder and harder to be selective and create something that's right for our audience. So we have probably 3 different core audiences that we look for products in each of them, and they look for different types of products. Typically like flavoring type things wouldn't really do it for us. So like we are all natural, so capsules, we're looking for capsules, but we require all capsules to be vegan. We don't allow for any bovine product, any shellfish or fish byproducts in them. So finding vegan capsules are relatively hard. There's some coming into the market now, it's getting better. Gummies, same thing. A lot of the gummies in the market have gelatin. Something we don't allow in our products. We're really happy we have a collaboration with Rose LA, where we did some gummies with them that were for day and night, and they are not using gelatin or animal byproducts, so that's really important to us. Brands that are also up on the education piece. There are brands like Prima that we carry, who from day one have set really good quality standards. We want you to be just as informed as we are about how to educate the consumer. So that's really important. Packaging and brand, we are a very elevated brand, and we do consider ourselves very luxury. With that being said, we want it to be accessible. So luxury doesn't equate to super expensive price point. It relates to how are you telling your story. Another thing that's super important to us that we have really been double-clicking into is minority-owned businesses. We're really proud to say that 90% of our brands across the entire 1,300 SKUs are female-founded or co-founded, which is really exciting. I'm an LGBTQ founder. We do not have enough Black-owned brands today. I think in a space like cannabis, we need more. It's something that we talked about a little bit more on, and I think access to funding. So any investors here, we as retailers want to carry more Black-owned brands, more minority-owned brands. Please go invest in them because they need the capital to get that beautiful packaging, to do those COA tests, to do those things. So I think that's really important, and I think as retailers, we're looking for it. So I think it's important that they get the capital that they deserve. So those are some of the key points, differentiation and form factor. So we're looking at mints and gummies and capsules and things like that. Beautiful bath salts, but don't just put the same thing in it that you see in all the rest of them, because if you do, we've seen it a million times. We probably carry it. And so yeah, just look at our assortment. Go on our website, be informed on what we carry, and see how your product really is differentiated, and then sell us on how it's differentiated. That's how you're gonna get in front of us and really call our attention. Sending an email to the brand's email, you'll probably just sit in the brand's email inbox, to be honest. I'm just being honest, so you have to really get in front of us with a differentiated product, and dropping off samples in store will get the products on our desk, but it will definitely need to stand out in all the products that are dropped off in the store, right? And so, yeah, that's kind of on our end.
And I just want to add, so now we have something in common, right? So I would say what he just said about just don't send the email. Don't just send the email, right? We get thousands of emails, and there's a lot of CBD people that are really trying to talk to us, a lot of suppliers. I am huge about, if you have a product, the first thing I'm always going to say is, how does it look in our store? If you haven't walked the store, that's a miss altogether, because you got to make sure your brand fits our aesthetic. It fits what we're about. And so I totally agree with that. And then you got to do the elevator pitch. I hate to say that, but you got to do the pitch. You got to tell me why. You got to tell my merchant why, right? So that's what's important. And so we agree on that, right? We agree on that.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna open the floor to some questions, but I was literally gonna ask, I'm happy you brought up the email, but I was gonna ask, what about sliding into DMs? Is that effective at all?
Right. So yeah, they slide the DM, and it's like, I don't know if and so you get to this position, you're like, I don't know if I'm supposed to answer that or not. Should I answer that, or how's that working?
I'm the founder.
No.
I'll just tell you, I don't answer my DMs.
No.
I don't. I think it's for me, there are ways to get in front of me with a really good differentiated product. One of them is do drop it off at the store. The store staff holds it for me, and if the store staff falls in love with it, they make sure that it gets in front of me. So if my store worker that day, they send us an end of day recap every day. We only have one store, so it's a little easier for us. It may be harder for you guys.
You got 700 stores you got to go
Yeah,
to.
that may be harder. But for us, if you do drop it off in the store, and if you can make that educator on the sales floor love your product as much as you love your product, they will get it on our desk, and it'll be in front of me, it'll be in front of the senior buyers, and then we will be trying your product and loving it, because they're the people dealing with our customer every single day as they walk in. So if they're sold on your product, it'll get up to us and we'll be sold.
It's a little similar again, don't drop off anything at 700 stores. But what I will say is, once you do make it into the vitamin shop, one thing that is very important for selling your brand is making sure you have samples for customers. Because what they do is they try it and they do come back. And I'm going to go further and say we do sampling events for our health enthusiasts as well. When we can get them excited, which is what you're saying, they're going to sell the product, right? So just thinking about the full package of how to really come to market with something specifically at the Vitamin Shop being 700 stores, you got to think about that full package when you're presenting.
And to build on that more, I mean, we have this aspect. I mean, we're just going here at this point.
She's gonna have to
Do your thing.
Like, let me
Freestyle.
No, but I mean, I think you also have to think about how is that product made. So, for example, we had a brand that was really phenomenal, and they kept sending us like capsules, and every time a customer would open up the package, the seal would come off while they were opening it. And so what happens then is the customer's opening it and being like, well, my product wasn't sealed, I'm returning it. And so think about also that aspect, like when that product gets to that end consumer, because if we do decide, okay, we're gonna carry your brand, you got too many returns, too many complaints from customers, your brand's gone and you're out. And that's due to the fact that we'll make sure that customer experience and that loyalty to buying your product is really high, and if they have those bad experiences, they won't be in that. So also think about that transportation point, or gummies, for example. If we buy gummies from you, one of the things we do is a heat test on it. Will it ship to Florida in July? We're coming up on July. Will it ship to Florida in July? If it's gonna melt in that process, then we're not gonna carry it because we can't ship it in July. So think about all those different aspects for your brand. That's important.
Before we get to because we really have 5 minutes, can you each just give one trend or like something that's on your radar that's coming up in terms of trends, or I don't know, something that you're doubling down on?
You want to go? Yeah. I mean, I think for me, we've been in the CBD space since the beginning. What I'm very interested in right now, again, being a New York brand, as THC becomes legal in New York, as we start to see it open up more and hopefully get legalized on a national level, Biden, if you're listening to this, hopefully, during all the other things you're dealing with, that would be really great. If you could just go ahead and push that legislation through, that would be awesome. And decriminalize, that would be awesome. But I think, for us, we're looking at kind of, what's this next evolution? CBD will always have a place, but how does CBD coincide with THC? How do those two things live together? And are we as a brand gonna go there? That's some of the questions we're asking. We're super interested, and we want the kind of legal clarity to go there. And so, yeah, again, Biden, make that happen, please, come on.
For us being a health and wellness specialty store, one thing that we're really looking at in the CBD category is just new formats and new categories to get into. Something we're going to be launching in July are the Prima Chews. Well, one, they're plant-based and it's a chew. It's something different, right? We already have gummies in there. So what's the next evolution of CBD? How can somebody else take this and still have the enjoyment? We find that sometimes customers have a hard time with taking capsules or, putting oil in their mouth or whatever. And what we've noticed in our business is the share has definitely increased in the gummy business and has gone down a little bit in the tinctures and oils. Not to a bad degree, but there are people out there that are looking for a flavor profile because that's important. So I think now having something like the chews that we're going to be carrying that are plant-based is another trend that's really important for us, because at the Vitamin Shop we're noticing a huge trend around vegan. We all know we've been through this pandemic, which is hopefully coming to an endemic, and people are just more concerned about, an endemic. People are more so concerned about their health and wellness, and so they're becoming a lot more proactive in what they're looking for and trying to have better and healthier lifestyles. So, more of that plant-based options in different formats for us is important.
Okay, love that. I think we can sneak in a question. Oh, yes.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth. Love Vitamin Shops. I've been to many. You do a fantastic job.
Thank you.
I love that you just brought in Martha Stewart's pet chews. Love that.
Thank you.
I wanted to open up the conversation to you more so because I wanted, everybody seems to be talking about the need for distribution and what that looks like in New York. Can you elaborate on that a little more?
Yeah. I mean, I think for us on the distributor front, we work with, I don't even know if we work with any distributors today, to be honest. That's not really the right approach for us, because the distributor's job is to ultimately sell all these different things. The distributor will never be as passionate about it as the founder or the people in the brand. We love smaller brands, especially smaller brands that do a good job of all these things that we've talked about today. So we don't really kind of look for that. We do look for brands that are looking to grow. We think that, look, when we started no one would touch CBD, and today now it is in some of the other retailers like Sephora and things like that, and we believe all of that rises the boat together, right? So the more consumers are out there educated, as long as those retailers are doing their part in curating that great product. But I think as far as the distribution part goes, we don't really work with that many distributors. For us, it's really about that brand founder relationship, and that's again why we have so many female founded brands and so on and so forth, because it's that one-to-one relationship that they build with us, and we kind of like that more. We do work with distributors, I think, in the drinks category quite a bit more, but that's just the nature of the drinks business. No drinks brand really does not work with a distributor usually. Getting in front of those distributors, I think, is fundamental. There's a couple in the Northeast that work on a lot of the CBD brands. There's not a lot. Get into one of those. Of the name of them, or there's Big Geyser here in New York. There's Athena up in Connecticut, who runs Connecticut, New York, New Jersey. Both of them are really great. Big Geyser, yeah. Those are kind of the drink distributors. Those are I think the only two in the Northeast region that carry CBD products. But yeah, we do tend to work with them on the drinks category. But they again, you got to pitch to get into them, right? Which may be even more challenging than sometimes getting into us. So yeah.
Thanks, Anthony. I think we're at time, but
It's up to you guys.
yeah, because I think we're at time. Yeah, but maybe you can ask your questions right after. So thank you so much. I feel like I know we can go on and on about this. But that's it. Any closing words about?
No, listen, one thing I will say is I've walked the show out here, and I'm very impressed with the different formats and the different categories that I'm noticing. And I have my merchant here with me today, so I'm sure she's meeting a lot of people, but something at the Vitamin Shop is we want to understand those new categories and see what's trending. So anxious to get back to the office or work from home and see what she's collecting, because there's definitely some great brands out here and some good innovation.
And I'll be here for another 15 minutes or so if anyone has questions. I'm happy to chat.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.